unexpectedly, Dr. Devi is here. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. Oh, okay.
We are starting this evening's meeting with a prayer by Reverend Father Francis Nampiaparambil.
It was for a short prayer. God, our Almighty Father, we thank you for this beautiful evening when we come together in your name, asking for your blessings, especially for our sister Devi, when we are gathered here, united in mind and heart, to pray for her, to wish success for her. Oh Lord, we put our trust in your providence. We put all our endeavors and efforts in your hands. Give us the courage and the wisdom to stand together, united, to work for peace, equality, justice, non-violence, and all the qualities you expect from us, so that we can treat one another as brothers and sisters, all the children of God, irrespective of color, race, religion, or whatever things apparently may be differing from us. Make all of us your channels of peace as we offer this prayer with the sentiments of Saint Francis of Assisi, who prayed asking God's blessings to make him the channel of peace. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there's doubt, true faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there's despair in life, let me bring hope. Where there's darkness, only light here. And where sadness, ever joy. O Master, grant that I may never see so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul. Make me a channel of your peace. It's in pardoning that we are pardoned. It's in giving torment that we receive. And in dying that we are born to eternal life. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me bring your love. Where there's injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there's doubt, true faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace. Thank you.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight, for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, their bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that a flag was still there. Oh, still is the star-spangled banner waving o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि गंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Aparna, thank you very much. She's the star singer of the Malayali community. Thank you very much, and also her father Shibu. Thank you. Tonight is a very special night for me and all of you who are gathered here. In recent times, our city is shrouded in a cloud of darkness. Political darkness, I mean. As we look around, we see lawlessness that is rampant. Ordinary New Yorkers are more and more susceptible to crime. People are getting worried and scared about their life, their safety and security. Our hopes and dreams are impacted by the downward spiral of all these happenings that is going around in our neighborhood, particularly in the city of New York. Where is the mayor? Where is the public advocate? They cannot walk away from this crisis that we are in. They fail because of the sheer ineptitude, and we cannot afford to fail our city one more time. Tonight, my friends, we see hope. we see a courageous leader who steadfastly challenged the status quo time and time again, who is rising up to the occasion to make our voices heard, who I believe will stand up for the values that we share as Americans, as New Yorkers. I believe in the rising star who is trying to bring some light into this political darkness. My friends, leaders and fellow New Yorkers, please welcome that rising star who is bringing light into this political darkness of the city of New York. None other than Dr. Devi Nampiaparambil. Before Dr. Devi comes up to the podium and speaks to all of us, I'd like to invite Miss Teresa Sebastian to officially welcome Dr. Devi.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Sebastian. We assembled here to congratulate Dr. Devi Nampiaparambil. She is planning to run as a public advocate. As you know, she has enough and more experience with the problems of the public. As a medical doctor, she has experience with the people's pain, sorrows, poverty, happiness, and sickness. Now, she intends to represent as a public advocate at large. She is an inspiration for our community, especially for our children. We assure you our full support for the election on November 2nd. Now I invite Dr. Devi Nampiaparambil officially.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for throwing this. I mean, there are a lot of people who are behind all of this. Chaka too. I don't see him now, but also okay, so thank you also for putting this together. So many people have been involved. I've been doing fundraising so aggressively over the past few days because it's only about a week and a half ago that I found out that I have to fundraise to have a debate with my opponent. So that's a public debate. So that's why we've been aggressively fundraising. So let me explain that a little bit more. I thought for a position like this, for the second highest position in the city, that we would automatically have some kind of public debate to discuss the issues and people would discuss them and decide who they like better, whose stance they prefer. But actually, in order to have that, you have to, if an opponent wants to have it, they have to raise the money, and only when they hit a certain threshold will the TV networks decide that there's enough public demand, I guess that's the argument, or that you bought the spot in order to have that debate. So that's what we're doing. It's not that we necessarily need the money. It's not for me, it's not for paying folks, but it's to hit the threshold to have that discussion that would benefit the public. So it's kind of a strange system that we have here. But getting back to what we were talking about. So first of all, thank you for waiting for me. I would normally never keep people waiting like this. Even in our medical office, I like to be on time. I'm a very punctual person. But the reason that we got delayed, besides the traffic, is that I was doing a last-minute interview with Rudy Giuliani, who is trying to help us also in terms of getting getting the matching funds by, Monday, 11 p.m., which is the deadline. So his son hosted a fundraiser also on Wednesday, which a couple people were there also for that. And he had me on his radio show. One of the things we were talking about was Rikers, and he was talking about the staffing problem at Rikers. I actually added too that the prisoners also have a problem as well. So we were discussing this on his radio show. What the problem is for those that aren't familiar with this, basically there's a staffing shortage because of the funding issue. So the city cut the funding to the correction officers. They weren't paid that well to begin with, but they cut the funding, and as a result a lot of officers left between COVID, all these vaccine mandates that also alienated a lot of them and pushed people away. A lot of staff members left, and then the ones that were left were put in these inhumane sort of work conditions where they had to work back-to-back shifts with very little consideration for their safety. People got attacked, staff were raped and assaulted, and then people left again, and the fewer and fewer people there were, the more dangerous it became for them, right? So that's a situation of the corrections officers. But while this was going on as well, the medical staff, this is what I brought up too, the medical staff got assaulted because the corrections officers couldn't protect the rest of the folks that were working there. Medical staff got assaulted. The medical staff left as well because they didn't want to work under these conditions. So when that happened, then the prisoners couldn't get medical care either. So then that became a humanitarian crisis, which, some people, including the public advocate kind of hung his hat on, although it's strange because there's a whole ripple effect, a domino effect before we got to that point. But the prisoners couldn't get medical care, and the prisoners also were in danger because corrections officers protect prisoners. They're not all in the same boat. So a person could be at Rikers for one thing and then get assaulted by other violent criminals while they're there and get brutalized. I'm a doctor, I'm a pain management specialist, so I've taken care of a lot of people. I worked at the VA hospital for years, for most of my career, and a lot of veterans, they go into law enforcement. Some veterans, they become incarcerated. So I've treated them while they were prisoners and they came to the VA in handcuffs with a police escort. I've treated veterans when they were released afterwards, trying to rehabilitate themselves and working at the VA and trying to get started again. But I've seen this from all different angles. A lot of people have pain, people all over the spectrum and from all aspects of society. So to me, I don't understand exactly what point of view, what side the city is arguing, because by cutting the funding, they have hurt everybody. They've hurt the corrections officers, they have hurt the prisoners, they've hurt the staff that was working there, and now, because they don't have any funding, they've released a whole wave of prisoners into society because they say they don't have the manpower to keep the prisoners in Rikers. So all of these people are being released into the public, and they're not being released because it was time for a release or because they thought, oh, maybe it's safe for them to come out, because those folks who they thought might be safe were released during the COVID pandemic. This is a release because there's just not enough staffing and the situation is so bad. So I don't know what's supposed to happen in the public, because as we've seen, the situation is getting so bad in terms of the crime as it is. So this is a lose, 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 lose proposition. So at this point, in terms of the funding, just to get back to that, I am getting support not only from Republicans, but even more so from Democrat donors and working families donors, because they're wondering what's going on here and who's going to advocate for them. When I walk down the street, because of programs like Thrive NYC, which is a program that was intended to help the homeless and to help people that have mental health concerns, that was $1 billion program that the de Blasio administration had. The money went missing, and I've taken care of homeless people throughout my career, people who had mental health concerns, the opioid crisis, I've seen all that. Working at the VA, I've seen a lot of people with mental health concerns, especially working throughout this pandemic. We have a lot of people who are struggling, not just with outright depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder and all that, but just a general feeling of adjustment disorder with all the constant changes back and forth about whether it's safe to go out or not safe to go out, and what's happening with the virus and what's happening with the vaccine, and all this constant shifting back and forth and mixed messages. I mean, people are struggling, but in any case, homeless people approach me on the street now that they know that I'm running, because they're starting to put the flyers out, I'm trying to do different things to get the message out. They approach me and they tell me, I'll help you, I'll pass out your flyers, I'll do stuff for you, because when things were really bad in the pandemic and the streets were deserted, we saw you walking back and forth to work, we saw you going there to help the patients. So, we believe, who cares what party you are, we believe you will do something for New Yorkers, you'll do something for people, versus people who say that they'll do something and then who knows what will happen. So this is a situation that we're in right now, and I think that's what matters. So that's sort of where I'm coming from as public advocate. Let me tell you a little bit more in terms of running for public advocate, but let me tell you what I've seen, because before I decided to run, I also decided to look a little bit more at what goes on in this city. So even about a few weeks ago, I went to a city council sort of committee meeting on education and stuff last year I tried to see this, but it was all virtual, so it's a little bit different, and there's technical issues, very hard to even figure out like how to log in. Things aren't posted always afterwards, so very confusing. But in any case, I went there in person to see what happens. And this is how it works. Like, if you're lucky, you can fit into this space, but there's also a barrier, but basically with COVID restrictions, only a certain number of people are allowed in. So there's that. So okay, so if you make it in, which I did, but if you make it in, there's the politicians who sit in the front, and there's the press that kind of records this in the beginning. Then there's some administrators that come in here and there, and the public, which is sort of in the, in the back. But what happens is the politicians get to speak first. So they speak first, and the press takes some photos. And pretty soon after the politicians speak, the politicians sort of leave. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. And then the administrators talk, and it's kind of weird because the way I saw it, like different people from the public tried to speak to respond to what the politicians said or what the administrators said. They were silenced immediately, and some were escorted out by the sergeant at arms, which I thought was very adversarial, but okay. So I was just observing this, because I'm not trying to fight, I'm just trying to see what actually goes on around here. But they were escorted out. And then after the administrator spoke, so these are not quick speeches, by the way. This is like, hours and hours and hours, like, talking about 4 or 5 hours, as this all goes on. Then after all those people speak, and most of them leave, so pretty much this thing is almost empty. I think there's only like 2 politicians left out of the press is long gone. But then the public is allowed to speak, and the public is limited to 3 minutes per person. That's it. You're not supposed to speak any longer than that. And if anybody speaks back to you, you can't respond to what they say either. You have to be in silence. So the person saying you're wrong, etc., you can't respond. So I thought the whole thing looked completely backwards, because by the time the public speaks, nobody's there to hear anything. So if the public advocate and the city council members who are supposed to be making our laws are not there to hear the people speak, how do they have any idea what the public is actually concerned about or what the public is saying? Right? So that is what I've seen the incumbent do, for example, with this problem at Rikers. Like on social media, I'll say, oh, look at Bill de Blasio, entertaining royalty instead of visiting Rikers. Okay, so he kind of brought Bill de Blasio down another notch, but it didn't actually accomplish anything because nothing changed, right? But then if you look at it, the Public Advocates Charter says they can look at all the different agencies. So they can look at where the budget, where the money is spent, and how the agencies are run, and where the problems came. You could actually investigate and look at what's happening with the staffing and what's going on in different places and make changes. So you don't have to just make a, post on social media and say something or go stand and give a speech. You can actually point out where the problems are coming from and make a much more detailed analysis of what needs to be done and where the problem is, and then hand that to the press or to the people that can actually pass the laws to make the changes. Public advocate's not a dictator, so public advocate can't do that. But the public advocate can actually write sort of a summary of what needs to be done or an analysis, and people can work with that and modify that to make some changes. This is a person that basically has some say in every single city agency, so operations of our entire city. It's a very powerful position that seems to just be overlooked and referred to as sort of somebody that goes around, standing around as just a voice, but not only a voice, really an analyst. Who am I? I'm talking about the city, but like, who am I anyway? So I'm a physician. You don't have to pay the overhead and all these medications, all these insurances, and with the crime, everything was rising, like to try to protect the property and everything. People trying to rob other places for PPE and all this stuff. But they told me like it's better if you close. But I thought if I do that, these patients don't have anyone, because these are not patients that can manage on their own, right? That's why they're seeing a pain management specialist. So then I thought I have to stay open to help them, because otherwise they'll end up in the ER, which at that time would have been a death sentence for them. So we did stay open. I let my employees go, not because I was upset with them or even to save money. I talked to my employees, some of them, not all, but ones where it was more advantageous for them to be on unemployment. I told them, I think you make more money on unemployment with these benefits, so do you want me to let you go? So then the ones that made more money said, okay, that would be really helpful if you did, so I did. But then we had another problem because I can't take care of the patients without them. It was too much. I couldn't manage all the different things by myself trying to do this. So I called them back after a few weeks and I said, this is too much. Like, I can't do this. I'm trying, but it's not safe for the patients. So then they all came back. So it's not like me alone. They all came back for minimum wage, gave up the unemployment benefits to risk their safety on the subway with the crime, with COVID, without PPE, and what do they get? Like, so our system, that's what I mean, like something is messed up in our system, because they would have made more and been safer to stay at home, which I'm not blaming people who are doing that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you need to reward people who are making sacrifices, not relatively punish them, right? Because they had to give up what they could have had to sacrifice. And they had consequences, because half of them got sick with COVID, and when they got sick, their family members got sick too. So that was a terrible sacrifice that they made, but they did it to help the patients too. So what happened, 8 months, that was the magic number when we brought my daughter back. And we brought her back because I was pregnant. So here's another person who made a sacrifice in this time. Aside from my daughter who gave up her parents, because we were trying to help with COVID, and then gave up her grandparents also, who just disappeared. Well, a couple weeks later, her father disappeared because he got hospitalized too. This is my husband. And then I disappeared because I went into labor. Well, we had all this happen while we had COVID. So my baby, while I was pregnant, is also a person who made a sacrifice, because she helped me every day. She was treating these 2,000 patients with me, my unborn baby. She got infected with COVID while I was pregnant. She beat the virus and made these antibodies while I was pregnant so that we would be safe. Because I think, when I think about it, I was, obese, like you're pregnant, so like you're obese kind of thing, but obese, high blood pressure, sort of like with the last pregnancy. I'm not even 100% sure what's going on in this pregnancy because we didn't have proper medical care. You can't go to the OB when you're infected with COVID because you'll infect the other patients. So who knows what's happening? No childcare, so I can't go anywhere. And then I'm watching my toddler. I called the city for help because I started having contractions. So they said, well, your husband's in the hospital. You may have to go in the hospital. I said, I can't give my child to anyone because she's infected. So if I give her to my parents will get COVID, and that's going to kill my parents, So then actually, Chaka Chanko is here, helped to find a babysitter, but actually a lot of people, so this is what I mean, other people tried to step up to help us. They were trying to figure out what to do, because the city said if it's an unsafe situation, CPS, Child Protective Services, is coming in to take our child to, like foster care or an orphanage, so we created an unsafe situation. So my feeling is that the city and our society maybe, but it's reflected more in our government, is lacking some kind of, kindness and empathy for others. And the only way we can kind of reverse this is to change the direction of the way our city is going, our elected leaders. Like, we need to bring some more compassion and empathy to government. So even with that initial example that I mentioned with Rikers, like, we are not that far apart. I mean, even though it seems like law enforcement and prisoners, like everybody would be against each other completely, like even the prisoners would want some safety and security there. So I feel like the same thing is true across the board. People want certain things. They want safety, security, they want some transparency in government. People want predictability. This whole situation with the pandemic has highlighted that our government seems to operate with a certain sense of arbitrary decisions and behavior that, we need to stop that and have some kind of predictability so people can plan accordingly and make some life decisions. And we need fairness, because if we can be fair, it really doesn't matter what your political beliefs are at all, because you can feel safe and assured that whoever is in that position, whether it's public advocate or elsewhere, that they will act the way that they're supposed to. And the government is supposed to speak for all of us. It's not supposed to be, the chief activist. So that's what I'm running for. So thank you.
At this time, I would like to invite a few of our community leaders
Thank you too.
to
Thank you, Jason.
say
Sorry.
a few words. Our Republican Party Queues, bureau leaders are here. Mr. Phil.
It's a pleasure to see you again, Dr. Devi. I won't try to pronounce your last name because I can't. But Dr. Devi, I had the pleasure. My name is Phil Ornstein. I'm the president of the Queens Village Republican Club, America's oldest Republican club, founded in 1875, but I was not there at the time of our club. A few years afterwards. But anyway, I had the great pleasure of meeting Dr. Devi, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. Jason, a friend and a new member of our club, introduced us. Me and Anita Upal, my co-Republican state committee leader candidate, and we had the opportunity to meet her. I read her bio. She wrote a nice, a wonderful letter, to our club membership, and I've been getting this out. I was so impressed. It's been a long time since we've seen this type of this personal acumen and quality in a Republican candidate. And so when we heard that she had an opportunity to appear in a televised debate with Jumaane Williams, and I think all of us know what type of person Jumaane Williams is. He shouldn't even be a politician. He shouldn't be in politics. He should not be representing people because he wants to defund the police. He's a radical leftist. His ideas are not, in sync with the real world. So when I heard, Dr. Devi, and I met her, I said, this is a great person. This is a uniter. This is an articulate voice for the common people. Our party is the party of freedom. Our party is the party of the people. One of the great events we have as the Queens Village Republican Club is our Gala Lincoln Dinner once a year. We couldn't have it last year, we had it on Zoom last year actually. But every year we have this Gala Lincoln Dinner at Anthony's Caterer here in Queens Village. We have 300, 400 people. We have, you know, congressmen, senator, we honor great people, war veterans. And I want to say next year when we have our Lincoln Dinner, we want to invite as one of our featured speakers, Dr. Devi is New York City's public advocate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Joe, please.
Thank you.
See you again. All right, this is one of the times where she gets to sit down and relax. All right? But that means this is the time you guys have to listen. My name is Joe Buchanan. Many of you know me because I've run for political office in this neighborhood before. All right, so I'm no stranger to what she's going through right now, and I'm trying to prepare her as best I can. I saw her the other night, and we spent a couple of hours over at Belrose Commons. And for those of you who have an iPhone, I can flip one of the videos to you pretty quick. I think you're gonna like it. Dr. Devi is, you're getting a bath into politics. And it's not always pretty. And my job is to smooth out the path for her as best we can. One of the ways we do that is we inform her and her associates about the path that she's on, and we try to prepare her so that when she's in front of the media and different groups and things of that nature, it's a lot easier for her to operate. I'm the Republican district leader in Assembly District 33. That being said, we've got 18 different assembly districts in the county of Queens. And we need county committee people in every single one of them, as well as district leaders in every single one of them. And those district leaders and county committee people aren't figureheads. Those are people who actually stand up. They're thinking, living, breathing people. And we want you. We want everybody in this room to become a registered county committee member with us. We're here tonight to take your names, phone numbers, emails, addresses, whatever you have. All right. Right now, we're circulating a petition amongst all the people in Queens County. And if you haven't signed it, we'll get you to sign one. And that petition has to do with election integrity. Because here in Queens County, what did we learn? And this is one of the things I discussed with the doctor last week. 135,000 votes got inserted during the primary for the mayor of the city of New York. 135,000. We're not talking 10 or 15 or maybe a couple hundred. We're talking thousands of votes. And had it not been for the people that were in the primary, none of us would know about it because they sued. And they sued in order so that we could find out. So what's important to Dr. Devi is that she has county committee people. She needs 18 different assembly districts represented in Queens. She needs 2,000 county committee people in Queens, all pushing her over the finish line within a month from now. And my question to each of you is, are you willing to stand up for her and become a county committee person and take on that role, take on that task? Do you care enough about the future of this city when you have someone with qualities that are absolutely amazing who is stepping up to the plate and running for office? Do you have what it takes to stand up and support her? And as I look around the room, I'm wondering. All right, I'll have a better idea in about an hour, maybe two. All right, because as I walk out of the room, I'll go with a fistful of cards and pledges of people to say, tell me more. I want to learn what a county committee person is because I want to be able to organize the vote so that when we have a qualified candidate that is going through the gauntlet of politics, as ugly as it is, that she has the support she deserves. Did you read her resume? I mean, she's got qualities like you can't believe. We were looking for her in February. We didn't know she was out there. None of us did. I only found out about Dr. Devi, I think, 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago. And even at that time, I was like, listen, this has got to be some sort of fake fraud. There's something wrong here. Because there's no way they're going to hide somebody with those kind of qualities and that kind of resume. I mean, just doesn't happen. When you have someone with such an outstanding resume, how could you possibly hide that? But that is exactly what the Republican establishment did in Queens County. They hid her. Not only did they hid her, but they screwed her. All right, because she had 6 months where she could have been out there shaking the trees, beating the bushes, and getting her name out there. And what they did is they kneecapped her, so she only came out, June, July, something like that. All right? So this is important, and that's why I'm looking around the room, especially some of the younger people in the room. Are you going to get involved? Yes. Well, you know what? That's half-hearted. All right? And I don't accept it. I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you going to get involved? Yes. That's more like it. I got to be honest with you. The one thing I wanted to hear when I was a candidate was not this, well, yeah, I'm thinking about it, can I let you know next week? I'm thinking of writing you a check. I get paid every third Tuesday. I'll let you know on that Friday, okay? And, I'm thinking maybe I'll vote in advance, maybe I'll vote that day. I'm really not sure. I may be on vacation with my wife, or, I may have a hernia operation all of a sudden that I really wasn't planning on, but, it seems to be a good time. Maybe November 2nd is when I'll go in. You know what I'm saying? That's not what she wants to hear. I'm giving you my experience. I've heard all the excuses. You folks have to step up to the plate at every single fundraiser that she has, and you've got to energize people to get behind her. We get her in front of the TV camera against Giovanni Williams, and it's not even a contest.
No, that's good.
You write her one check tonight, you write her another one in a day or so, all right? Because that's what she needs. All right, said enough. Thank you very much. I'm sitting over here behind the great Harriman Shaw, all right? And I expect to go out of here with at least 30 names of people who want to be county committee people and who are willing to stand up and fight for this woman who is taking on this huge task to be our next New York City public advocate. Dr. Devi.
Oh, thank you for that inspirational speech, Joe. Before I go to Hemant Shah, I would like to do this the Indian way. When I say Devi, repeat after me. Devi! 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 Come on! Devi! Listen, Hemant Shah is no stranger to any of us. He's going to say a few words, maybe like a minute.
This is a gift from God. She is an angel. I have gone through a lot of politics, and I can tell you and I can show you that God has answered our prayers. And she is dynamic. So much has been said. I'm not going to say anything more, but I can tell you I'm ecstatic. It's a wonderful thing. So with your other little bit about myself. I'm Hemant Shah. I represent Queens Village Republican Club. I've been a Republican for many years. And now we are coming out of the gloomy situation right now. I'm telling you, we are going to take back our city. And she's going to help us do that. Right?
Thank you. Of
Thank you
course,
so much. And I also represent Floribard Belrose Indian Merchants Association.
Very good.
And I'm going to pass the word and make sorry, I had a little dental surgery last week, so forgive me if I but anyway, so I'm going to make food. Oh God, sorry. But thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman-ji. We have a few of our community leaders who will be speaking for approximately a minute. I'd like to request Mr. George Abraham. He is the Vice Chairman of the Indian Overseas Congress, International Indian Overseas Congress. Thank you, my good friend George Abraham.
Thank you, Thomas Human. I think he has done a PR blitz in the last week about this fundraising dinner. And also, my congratulations go to Chakochan, who really has worked behind very hard in order to bring all of us together to support Dr. Devi Nampiaparambil. And in the Indian community, as you know, we complain somewhat why our younger generations are not coming forward for public service. But let me tell you, one of the reasons we also discuss is that the parents want all their children to become either doctors or engineers or IT professionals or nurses. Well, here we have the best of the both worlds. Here we have the doctor, but who is now willing really to dedicate herself for public service. I think that's a win-win situation for us. I hope our community will come together. Often when our own people are running, we seem to be reluctant to come forward and support them. This city, as we heard, is in big trouble. I came here in 1968. I remember the days when I couldn't walk through Times Square and the Harlem was really no place to go. But Giuliani, a Republican mayor, came and cleaned it up. And we remember. So one of the things the Indian community is mostly concerned is the law and order situation. Let me tell you, I got mugged 3 times in 60s. So I know about the crime, about how a crime can impact you. So it is very, very important that whoever we elect, including right now we are campaigning and supporting the candidate for the public advocate, who should really, of course, have the public interest in their mind in supporting the law and order in the city so that even our new immigrants can feel safe and secure in the community. So one thing more I want to say to the Republican leaders here. Look, the Republican Party has done very little effort in reaching out to the Indian community. Okay? And your message hasn't gotten through. Somehow there are inhibitors there which are preventing our community from fully participating in the party. Maybe this is an opportune time for you to have a great messenger, a great person who really can help that effort within the community. I think you will be all the more successful. Once again, I wish you all success and God bless.
Thank you, dear George Abraham, my childhood buddy and the computer chief of, he's retired from the United Nations. We have a very special person here, Ms. Ragini Srinivasa. She is running for town of North Hempstead as the town clerk. Please, glad to have you here.
A very good evening to all of you. My name is Ragini Srivastava and I'm running for town clerk, town of North Hempstead. Last year I ran for New York State Assembly, and it was a very, very close race. And I thank you all and everyone for their kind support, because that is the thing that motivates us and, kind of inspires us to do the hard work. And, who am I? I'm a business entrepreneur. I believe in cost efficiency. I believe in hard work. I believe in accountability, holding people accountable for the job they are doing and for your tax dollars. I believe in strategic planning. I believe in our law enforcement. I believe in active participation of the residents in the local government policies making process. But above all, I believe in the magic of this beautiful country, United States of America. And thank you. Thank you. And it is our responsibility to give back to this country that has given us so much. Public service is all about the love and commitment that we have for the community. So, I would request all of you to please support the candidates that you think they are coming with the right kind of commitment and who cares for you and who cares for this country. Thank you. Congratulations to Devi. Best wishes. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Thank you to the committee. Enjoy the evening. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Srinivasa. Thank you very much. Next, one of our cornerstones of our community who has been here the longest number of years, Professor Joseph Serveli sir.
Dr. Devi, my fellow Indo-Americans, my fellow citizens, and my fellow New Yorkers. Dr. Devi, I have heard about you on and off, but it's the first time I see you. But I have known your father for almost 60 years. 60! Maybe more when we were students in Trivandrum. I have known your father-in-law when he was a student at St. John's University. I myself am an immigrant in this country for over 60 years. I was a youngster when I came. Now I am an old man, senior citizen, walking with a cane. I am not a politician. I am an academician because I spent all my life teaching. I was a full-time professor at St. John's University, right here in Queens. I have taught my students and their parents, because nowadays parents go to school after the children have graduated. I have lived in this country under 13 presidents. I have heard the promises they made and the contributions they made, the mistakes they made, from Dwight David Eisenhower to Joseph Biden. I know the truth when I hear it. I also hear the holy baloney and platitudes they place before us.
Wow!
I was a blind, deaf Democrat most of my life. And 20 plus years ago, I woke up and became a Republican. I don't apologize for the change. I am not an opportunist. I don't jump ship from one side to the other. I follow my instincts, and my convictions are based on the values I cherish. Before I share with you a few thoughts, I want to make a couple of personal comments. Devi, I am very proud that the daughter of an Indian immigrant is forgetting or at least setting aside her duties as a medical professional, not setting aside, but adding to your agenda serving the people of New York. Truly altruistic, noble venture. I congratulate you, your dad, your family, your siblings, the entire Nampiaparambil family, because one of your own is reaching out for public service. I am not naive or pessimistic. The road ahead is rugged and bumpy. You are running against 3 candidates and the outcome is not certain. But no matter what the outcome in this election, I beg you that the future belongs to you. Today or tomorrow, you are destined not only for New York City or Albany, but for Washington, D.C. Never give up hope. Your very name, Devi, in Sanskrit, is a popular name in India. Devi is known by different names. She is known as Durga in Bengal, Kali in some parts, but officially and formally in Sanskrit, you are Parvati, the consort of Lord Shiva. And you represent Shiva Shakti, the strength, not only physical strength, but mental strength. And you, little daughter, you showed guts by running for public office in New York City. I genuinely hope and pray that you succeed, and through you, many miracles will happen in the political arena. Godspeed. I want to place for her consideration, for your consideration, give me 2 more minutes, a few thoughts I have in my mind. As of now, our country's debt is $26 trillion. We owe $26 trillion to China, to Mexico, to Saudi Arabia, to anybody who can loan us $1. And if all of us have to pitch in to pay this debt, each one of us has to pitch in $84,000. And if 26 trillion is not bad enough, our bloody friends in the Democratic Party, the extreme leftist, reddish, communist, socialist, radical wing, is now working on 2 bills. One called infrastructure bill. It's not infrastructure bill about roads and tunnels and highways. It's full of pork, old pork. And over and beyond that, there is another bill called the humanities infrastructure. They are going to give away money to everyone and everything. Only 2.6 or $3 trillion. And 2 of the ladies who are working overnight for it, to me is sad, are of Indian origin. A lady named Kamala Harris and another called Pramila Jayapal. They think that all they have to do is to print money, give it to everyone for everything. In this new bill, there is money for anything and everything. You don't want to work? Sure, we will send you a check every month. You don't feel like working? sure we will include you in the Americans for Disabilities Act. You want to go to a beautician? That falls under the pursuit of happiness. You want to go for a tattoo or a body piercing? Sure, we will get you money for that. Americans used to believe and tell their children, this is a blessed country. We operate on the Protestant Puritan work ethic. Work hard, save your pennies, save $1 for a rainy day, share what you have with the less persons. But we now live in a country which believes all we have to do is to print money and distribute it. Nobody talks about generating wealth. Everybody talks about distributing wealth. We have a mayor in New York. I would like to call him Conrad de Blasio because he's actually a communist. And his policies would simply mean printing money and giving it. Even college admission. Even admission to specialized schools like Stuyvesant and Bronside. He wants to base it on the color of your skin. Not on the marks you get. How much more you can shy away. American values are traditional, noble and good. It is high time that people like you stand up for our traditional values. And they are not formless. It's simply a faith in the providence of God. Work hard for an honest living. Don't swindle the public or the government. Don't be a freeloader. 60 years ago, John F. Kennedy said, ask not what the country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And now the slogan is, don't worry, don't ask anything, tell me what you want, we will send you a check every month. It is sad that this great, blessed, noble country is going down the drain because of several misguided people in our federal and state government. God help this country. You know, we have 5 major threats now. We have, first of all, an expansionist China building islands in the Pacific Ocean to extend their authority over international borders. We have the Islamic extremist jihadist group who have now taken over Afghanistan. We have an open border in the south. You know, since Mr. Biden took office, 1 million people have come to this country illegally. 1 million. At least 13,000 people are in Del Rio under a bridge. And they are not vetted properly. They are just released into this country. So our problems are many. We still have a good, blessed, noble country. Let us keep America as it always has been. I want to sing 2 lines from 2 songs I taught my children when they were in elementary school. The first was written by an immigrant named Woody Guthrie. And if you know it, sing with me. I will only use 1 minute. Say, this land is my land, this land is your land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. One more. The next song one line written by an immigrant named Irving Berlin. God bless America. I will only sing the last line. Sing with me. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you.
I am so happy to be here. This is such a wonderful opportunity. Look around you and listening to all the people and listening to Dr. Devi. You all know that she is the apt person for the city. She is a healthcare worker. You heard the enthusiasm and the passion with which she spoke. So we know that if we support her and if she wins, she will be the best person for the city. And I don't want to take too much time, but I just want to tell you that we want to gather again in the same place to celebrate the victory of Dr. Devi Nampiaparambil as a public advocate. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sherry. And we have a couple of more people just to say a few words. Mr. Corazon is here.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chapatanagal, Thomas T. and Jason for inviting me for this occasion. Dr. Devi. I'm already in the campaign wagon already because this is the first time. We are very fortunate that we launched the first fundraising a couple of weeks ago with Philip Martel. He organized that event. I was also a part of it, and that was the first fundraising, I think, for Dr. Devi, and it's spreading all over America now. And now it looks like at that point we were very speculative that where this campaign will go to, but towards the end of it, and now I'm very confident that she's going to win this election, and she's going to be the public advocate of New York City. And one more thing to add, I was so surprised to see that within few minutes, it is going to be a live telecast in Pravasi channel. I interviewed Dr. Devi for an hour, going in depth of what she believes in and what she actually is going to do. And this is going to be telecasted all over the world right now in few minutes in Pravasi channel. And Mangalam TV in India is also picking it up, and it's going to be live telecast all over Kerala. That they are so proud that one of the Malayali girl is going to be the second valued position in the New York City. And this is a great event and it's a great campaign. On behalf of all of the Malayalis, I'm congratulating Dr. Devi for this. She left her comfort zone with young kids, and she is running for a city with problems, city with sickness. The city needs a doctor, and she is.
Thank you, Corazon ji. Thank you very much. When you get sick, we go and see a doctor. When the entire city gets sick, it definitely needs a doctor. Dr. Devi Nampiaparambil. Come on, give it. Okay, one thing I want to remind all of you. Today's this event will be broadcasted on Kairali TV, Pravasi channel, and emalayali.com.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Abraham Pudisiril, and I am representing Taste of Kochi. And I am working also with KCA and Kerala Cultural Association of New York. Anyhow, first of all, I congratulate Dr. Devi on behalf of Taste of Kochi. And let me congratulate everybody. Thank you everybody for coming on this evening, attending this function. And for the Malayali communities, I have to say only a couple of words. You have to come out of there is only church and work. They have to break it and you have to come to the mainstream of life in America. That is the way we have to go. And we have to put our kids, our children, into actual politics in America. So it is the time to get together and time to work together and to win together. And we are going to win the election. Dr. Devi, we are going to win it. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abraham. Mr. Madatin, please come. Philip Madatin, Joey. Say one word, please. 31 seconds.
Thank you for inviting me. Only 30 seconds. I will wish you all the best. Dear my sister, Dr. Devi Nampiaparambil. That's it. You can say. Good luck, Devi.
Thank you very much. That was okay. Mr. Mortano, please.
29 seconds.
Yes, I'm George Kotaram. I just wish you all the best for my sister and my family, Devi Nampiaparambil. And one thing, don't forget, everybody have to contribute. The matching. So we have to contribute, in this. And I know that people are very anxious to get into the position of Devi. Devi will be win. Thank you.
I definitely have a similar feel from you because I work in the emergency room. I have 30 years experience in the ER. In the last 20 months, prior to 6 weeks ago, I worked 60 hours in an emergency room in Queens, on Queens Boulevard. And what I saw and what I experienced from healthcare, whatever, is probably one of the reasons that brought me here today, because of what I saw with when you were talking about what you went through with COVID, it's what I went through as a mother. I actually have 4 children, but I am here because my mom was involved in politics in the late 60s, 70s, till 89. My mother actually worked for the Democratic Party. I could throw names out there and I will actually say them because I don't really care anymore. My mother worked for Senator Emmanuel Gold. She authored, sponsored, and wrote and had passed over 200 healthcare laws that America goes by. My mother did that. And she did other laws where people can't get evicted from their homes. She helped laws with eviction-like kind of things. I grew up in that world with the Democratic Party. I worked with fundraisers. That was my whole world. But then I became a mom. My mom passed away, and I was just a mom in Long Island. And then I was working in a hospital. But the last 20 months, from what I saw, what's going on in Washington and in our local environment, I actually took a leave from my hospital. And I don't even know if I should announce this, but my hospital is actually trying to fire me now because of the things that I saw going on. I'm not a doctor, I can patient access, so I work with what gets told to the CDC. I did that kind of stuff, so I had to walk away and get back involved in politics. I hate to say this out loud, but
some of my mother's friends are still alive, and they have spoken to me, and they have told me the new Democratic Party are the Nazi regime, and they are the Gestapo. And I know that we are fighting evil. We are literally fighting evil. So that's why I'm here today. And I wish you the best. I wish you the best.
Thank you for working during COVID.
Yeah, I worked 20 months. Thank you.
We are too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan. Thank you. We need inspiration like Susan's message. Thank you very much. You know, our objective is for Devi to win this time. She is contesting the first time and she has to win the first time. When our community rallied behind Dr. Devi, I don't have any doubt that she is going to be winning this time. Thank you. And
I want to wish you good luck to Dr. Devi. She is an angel and legend. Please support her.
I think we have come to the end of this this podium program. So,
I'll say one thing.
yeah, please.
I just wanted to say one thing, you know, because we've been on such an aggressive schedule every day trying to meet this debate deadline, it's almost like it's very hard to acknowledge all the people that are participating in this process. There are so many people that are involved. And then second, just as you mentioned, you know, we're surrounded by so many people making sacrifices, working so hard, that are trying to do their part, not just with the campaign, but I mean for society, for our city. So I'll just say a couple names, but I don't want to leave anyone out, so please don't get offended if I leave folks out. But we've got, you know, I mentioned Chakachin here, but also Jason helping throughout the campaign. We've got Thomas too. Thank you so much also for helping, but all the organizers for this event. Roger too, yes. So, and then Phil Mudville, actually like the spark, like I said, you know, from before, and Corazon, Philip Uncle, Joenko. I can't tell because summer.
I was supposed to leave on Monday. I stayed the whole week.
Thank you. I mean, there's so many people in the room, but I mentioned you in particular, both of you, because there was that feeling, like Joe mentioned. Joe was also coaching me for a long time, for hours, because, you know, I had been running for months and I was getting support, but it was very slow because I was trying to, by myself, let people know that I was on the ticket. This was a very slow, tedious sort of process, which I was telling doctors, telling other people within my circle, but, you know, to get the ball rolling was very difficult. My platform, I'm a medical contributor for Fox News, so they were trying to help me, but that's a national network, so it's still harder to tell people. Now, he somehow, like, the two of them actually, between the media and the media connections, everybody that they know, it just kind of lit this spark, where when the spark when we had that ignition, all of a sudden things happened, you know, and now it's like, and we can't be stopped, because in the past 4 days, we've just doubled the number of funds and contributions we've gotten. So we are on our way to matching funds. And but even aside from that, I'll just mention a few other people. Like I said, aside from campaign, we've got a lot of heroes here. So, you know, you serving during COVID, taking care of all those patients. My God, I can't even imagine all the things you must have seen in the ER. We've got veterans here, like my cousin Nitin, always quiet and modest, but ready, you know, always helping out whenever anything is necessary. Even today, trying to help me find parking while I was searching, trying to get here, you know. We've got so many people, and then we've got the doctors also serving during that time, you know, Robin, Jacob, Melissa Paz is over here, and then Tobin, my goodness, some woman was victim of an Asian hate crime, and then he stopped and saved her. He's an MTA operator, he stopped and saved her off the tracks. You know? So we've got much and rarely ever get any recognition, but shit. Okay, thank you so much also to the owner of Taste of Cochin for having us here so we can even talk about all these things. Thank you.
Okay.
But I'll end there because I don't want to leave it. I don't want to pick every single person and leave one person out. But thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Devi. So, I request Raju Abraham to propose the vote of thanks, and then we can have him like. Yeah. Thank you, please.
Good evening. I would like to thank all of you for coming this evening. It's a Friday, nice evening. You should have spent this time with something else, but you chose to come over here in support of Dr. Devi Nampiaparambil. Really appreciate all of you for that. I may not naming everyone here, but I would like to first of all thank Dr. Devi Nampiaparambil and their loving parents for raising such a fine, beautiful human being for the service of the community, now for the service of New York City. I also worked in North Shore LA health system for about 25 years, and major of my time was in hospital administration, so I know what is healthcare. So really appreciate that Dr. Devi to come out. She mentioned many times that she is not a politician. She is a healthcare professional, but she chose to serve the community. I really appreciate for her and her parents for that good gesture. Really appreciate that for that. And also I would like to thank Chago Chayan, Thomas Tillman and Mr. Jason Joseph for arranging such a wonderful meeting this evening. Really appreciate for them to do this one. Also, there are many people work behind it to make this beautiful evening a great and a memorable evening. All the Republican leaders, those who are present here, really appreciate that you took some time and you came out and in support of Dr. Devi and giving us such an inspiring speech. Really appreciate that, especially Joe Kurkanen and Phil Ornstein. And also I think Ragini Srivastava was here, and I would like to thank her. And also Leela Madid, she is the IOC Kerala chapter president, and Mr. George Abraham, IOC vice chairman of America region. Also Mr. Koisenberg is here, and Mr. Philip Marathil. Thank you all for coming and giving us inspirational speeches and working behind this meeting. I would like to also thank Mr. Shaji Anashir. He is representing Kairali TV, Pravasi TV, and E-Malayali. So he is always with us whenever there is a function like this. Even though he's busy with his work schedule and everything, he is always with us to come and represent these medias. Really appreciate him for that. And really appreciate that all the contributors, those who have contributed generously for Dr. Devi's election campaign. I think almost about 60 plus people here. I was also in the table, managing the contribution table, along with Mary Philip and Leela Mapukutan. I know how many people contributed. Only about 50% of the people, those who came here, contributed. Still you have time. Please contribute. Please. You need your support. We need your vote. We need your friends and families to come out and vote for our dear Dr. Devi Nampiaparambil. So please, still time to contribute. You can pay by cash or check, or you can go online. We have the information here. So please do that for us. And once again, I thank all of you for coming out and attending this meeting, and also for participating in this meeting, and also for contributing. Really appreciate that. Once again, the contribution table has been managed by Leela Mahaputan and Mary Philip and myself. So really appreciate all of you for that. I would like to also thank Charya Chan for Taste of Cochin management and all the staff and of Taste of Cochin, especially Charya Chan for arranging this evening, a memorable one. I once again thank God for the fine, beautiful young lady who is working for us, and she has shown the willingness and courage to come out and stand for a public position, and their beautiful parents for raising such a fine human being for the public service. Really appreciate for that. And once again, if I miss anyone, please excuse me, because it was a kind of last moment assignment. And thank you each and everyone for coming out and supporting for Dr. Devi. And as Joe said before, if you may have written a check before, but it's still time to write another check. Please contribute generously for this cause, because we need money and we need time and we need all your efforts in the coming days. Please come out and work for her and support for her wholeheartedly. With our community and with our friends and with our families, we'll be able to win this election big. Really, thank you once again, and may God bless all of you. Thank you very much once again. Thank you, and thank you. May God bless you. Thank you.